Hey everyone, this is Prince from Desi Programmer. Welcome back to another exciting video in this Flutter series. Not a series, this is just one other video in Flutter Firebase. And in this video, we are going to create this amazing Notes app with Firebase. So we are going to talk about Firebase setup, everything that's new in Flutter 2 and Firebase. We are going to talk about Google Authentication. We are going to talk about CRUD operation in our Firebase. Sorry, Flutter Firestore. So as you can see, this is the basic app that we have. These are the cards. These are my notes. I can simply click on any note and this will show me the time when I created the note, my notes description, my notes title. I can even delete this note, or when I go back, I can add a new note. So I can say, okay, after doing this, I can simply click on save, and now you can see now I have a new note that I just created at 5:40, and I can click on this new note. I can click on delete, and now you can see that the new note has been deleted. Also, these colors are coming randomly here. So this is what we are going to do. Everything we are going to do in this one single tutorial. So let's get started on that. But before I do that, before I get started on the tutorial, I have to take a small time of yourself, and I have to introduce you to my website, which is desiprogrammer.com. And in this website, I'm actually going to put full-fledged courses. Obviously, I haven't uploaded everything as of now. I'm actually working on this. Everything is done. We are just uploading. And once everything will be uploaded, you can simply open these pages, and then you can grab this entire data. This is just a simple random video that I have posted yet. Everything will be done soon. I'm actually going to travel for next 4 to 5 days. Once I come back, I will do this in a day or two. You can become a pro member, and then you can watch the content for as long for whatever duration that you choose, either 1 month or 3 months. And also let me know if you think this way is better, or should I just sell each course, because I think this is better because you can access a lot more content and you can watch more. Or if I sell course, you can have that for a long time. But from what I have seen, people, once people buy a course, they don't actually go back to learning that. And also because of the updates in technology, it obviously become obsolete in an year or two. So I thought to come with this. Anyway, just let me know about your opinions, and let's get started with this tutorial. Well, so let's first get started by creating our application. And for that, I'm going to simply switch to my D directory. And there I have a folder named Flutter projects. So you have Flutter tutorials, okay. And here I will create a project. I'm simply going to use the command line. We will use Flutter space create. My app name is Notes app. And yep, that's it. I want to create this particular project. So as soon as I hit enter, this will create a project for me. And once this project is up and running, I will open this project in my code editor, which is VS Code in this case. So code space notes app, and there you go. You have my project. I have my project up and running. This is everything that I get as of now. So yeah, we are completely fine with that. The next thing that you want to talk about is setting up Firebase project, and I have already talked about it a lot. So you won't go deeper. Still, the process is pretty simple. I mean, I've already created a lot of projects, but still, if you just click on add or create a project, you have to give your project a name. You can give any random name, and once you give your name, and if that is accepted, you can click on continue. Once you click on continue, you will come to this particular section where you can enable Google Analytics for your project, or you can disable whatever you want. Once you are done, you can simply click on, if you click on enable Google Analytics and you click on continue, you have to accept to a couple of terms and conditions. If you disable it, you can simply click on create a project. So creating a project is very simple. Once you are done with creating your project, all that you have to do is to go back to your project. And so here, once you go back to your project, as you can see, you will have, like, this is my test application that I use for coding, and I'm actually using this for tutorials because I really have a lot of projects created already. So once you go to your project, whatever project you have, you won't have any application. Like I have 3 apps here, but you won't have any application. So all that you have to do is that you have to click on add app. And once you click on add app, it will ask you which kind of application you want to add. We obviously want to add an Android application. So I'll click on Android. Now this will give me a couple of options that I have to fill. The process is actually pretty simple. So if I take out my VS Code here, which actually contains all my code. Okay, that was really weird. Okay, so here as you can see in my Android, if I go to build.gradle file, then I may have it. Okay, in my app level build.gradle file, we have a lot of data. So if I increase the font size right now, you can see that now this contains the package name, the app ID, which you have to copy. So you have to simply copy this app ID, which is com.example.notes app. And once you copy this, you have to paste it here. Then you have to I actually have one already because of recording the earlier tutorial. Then you have to give your apps give your app a name, and then you have to give your app a certificate. So this you have to copy your whatever code you have and then paste it here. The Android nickname, you can give it anything, it's completely optional, it has nothing to do much with the project. Give it any nickname which just suits you so that you can later understand what this app was for. Creating this SHA1 application, this is really necessary. So how you do that is that you have to go back to your terminal, okay, and once you're here at your terminal, we have a simple command to get your debug SHA keys. So debug SHA keys are the keys that we use in debug mode. So here you have to simply paste this command that I have already copied from Google. You don't have to remember it obviously. So if you paste it, this is a simple command that you have to paste, and this will give you a list of all your keys. But here is a problem, sometimes this thing may not work, this %user profile. So for that, what you have to do is that you have to open your file explorer, whatever you have, go to C directory, users, your username, and there you will see a .android folder. So copy this path and replace this complete data with that particular path. So your command will then look something like this. Come on, you have to remove this and then you have to paste this. So now this is how your command looks like, okay, and when you hit enter, as you can see, come on, if I hit enter, then this will start, this will, okay, this gives me some error. Fine. Okay, I have placed .android twice, I shouldn't use this. Okay, so now if I hit enter, it will ask me for my keystore password, which is Android by default. Then if you hit enter, you will get all your information according to your keys. So simply copy your SHA1 key and then paste it here, okay, and then click on register app. Once you register the application, it will give you an option to download config file, which will be a services.json file. So you have to, alright, give me a minute, let me just change my app ID name so that I can register this app too. Otherwise, how will I record the tutorial, right? Alright, I have changed the name. Now this is my my notes. Doesn't matter what the name is, I just want to copy this and then you paste this, and then I will just say another notes app, and then you have to paste your certificate that we just generated using the process that I told you. Once you paste your certificate, click on register app, and this will give you a config file which will be services.json file. Hope so. Click on this download services.json file and then click on next. So once you click on this, this will download a file. So what you have to do is to use a file explorer, or you can simply use move command too, and then from your downloads you have to grab that file. Then you have to go to the directory where you have actually created this project, and in your project directory there will be a folder named Android, and there you will have an app named folder which will contain two files. I mean, there will be a directory named src and a file named build or gradle file. You have to paste your google-services.json file right there. Once you have done that, now you have to go to your project level build or gradle file and then copy this line which you have here, which is here in green, and then open your code again, and in your androids build or gradle file, which is your project level build or gradle file, which is not in the app directory, there you have to simply just put this one line here that says class path. Once you're done that, you can close this, and now you have to go to your app level build or gradle file, and here you can copy any of these. First you have to copy this google com.google.gms.google-services, and then paste it here in apply from. So paste this and this will be done. Next we have to change this minimum SDK version to at least 23, and then copy this line here, which is a Firebase bomb, and then paste it here in the dependencies. Once you have done this, we are good to go. Click on next, and here just click on continue to console, and this will give you your application. So in your another notes app, which is an app that we have just created right now, as you can see, we just have a single certificate, which is SHA1 certificate. So you have to make sure that you put your SHA 256 certificate to there, which is basically key. Okay, so click on add fingerprint, paste that, and yep, click on save, and now you are good to go. Once you have done this, we have to make sure that we enable authentication so that we can actually put some data, and you have to also create a Firestore instance. So if you go to your authentication tab, and if you go to sign in methods, so in your authentication tab in sign in methods, you will see this Google, phone, email, password, a lot of options. You have to just click on this, have to make sure that this is checked to enabled. If they ask you any configuration, like they can ask you which email you want to provide, so you can put your email. It will be the same email from which this account is created. Once you're done here, next you have to click on Firestore. And right now, as you can see, I already have a Firestore storage allocated to me. You might not see this. So you have to click on Create Firestore Storage, and that will ask you for location. So choose a location which is nearby to your area, and then simply click on Create, and this will give you a Firestore instance. As you can see, this is my Firestore instance. I'm pretty okay right here. There ain't many problem that I have to do. Like you can go to rules and play with rules if you want. Right now I have everything completely open. So great. As you can see, I'm saying that before 2021, anybody can read and write. I haven't added any security rule, which is completely fine for this application. Now, I mean, obviously this application deals with user authentication, but I haven't added the rule because just as I said, I use this single project for multiple testing. That's why. Now, once you're done once we are done here, as you can see, we don't have any data, right? So we have to now run our project. So I go back to my code editor and the project that we have just created. So once you have added everything, open your main.dart file, and here I will simply run the application. But to make sure that everything is connected, everything Firebase is running, you can do something like widgets. Now, once you have this basic application up and running, you have to initialize our Firebase project. So for that, I will first say widgets binding dot ensure initialize. So widgets binding dot, come on, widgets flutter binding, not widgets binding, widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized. And then like this will make sure that the basic Flutter widgets are initialized. Then I'm saying wait, make sure that Firebase is initialized. So Firebase, we can't use it because we haven't added any of our dependencies. So go to pubspec.yaml file, and here we have to add a couple of dependencies. So I'll simply copy all the latest dependencies that I've grabbed from pub.dev, and these are all the latest dependencies that we have as of now. So I'm using Firebase, Firebase Core, Firebase Auth obviously for authentication, Cloud Firestore for the database, Google Sign In for signing in using Google, and INTL for formatting date and time. Once you're done, you can save this, and this will get all these packages that we want. So once you get all these packages, we have to save Firebase, and if this doesn't give you any option, simply use import Firebase Core, and then you will get Firebase dot initialize app. And once you have done this, I will add an await. So once we have initialized an application, I want to run my app. This is my basic app. I will simply change this to my notes, and here I will remove this everything, and in my theme data I'm saying theme data dot dark and dot copy with, because I want to copy with some color, and my primary color will be colors dot white. This is going to be more like a black and white application, so colors dot white. Right, nothing much that I want. Right from here I will remove this part too, and after removing this, in my home I'll simply say that okay, in my home I will add little things here. As you can see, I'll go to my explorer, and in my lib folder I will add another folder. I will name this as pages. Okay, why is this another folder created here? Let me close this. We don't need this. Let me delete this. So in my pages folder, I will create a login.dart. Okay, I can further categorize this, but I will leave it because we don't have many pages to further categorize. And here I have a simple import package colon flutter slash material.dart, and then we have a stateful visit. I'll call this login page, and this is a scaffold. So from a scaffold, I simply have a body as of now, and I want to say that in my body we have our text. Let's say we have just a container, nothing much. Let's just save it. Once you have saved this, we can remove this part, and I can say call the login page only. So now I will save this, and once we have saved this, go to terminal, or you can even use this. So I'm saying Control Shift P to open my command palette, and then I will use Flutter clean project. Once I have cleaned, this will show me error because it won't it won't start reading them again. So I will say Flutter pub get. So let's see if we have pub commands or not. Pub get packages, and this will get all the packages for me, and everything will be solved immediately. Once this is done, and once you have an emulator up and running, all that you have to do is to run this project. Make sure that you actually clean it, because sometimes there have been issues if the projects were run without cleaning it. Alright, so if you can see a screen like this, which obviously is available because I have chosen dark mode. Now that means that we have successfully initialized our Firebase project and our Flutter project, and we have added both of them. Once you are done, I have took the liberty to add a couple of assets. As you can see, this has a fonts directory with 2 font, and then an images directory with a single cover image and a Google's icon. So once you have done this, once I have added this, all that I have to do is to make sure that I initialize. Basically, I make sure that both of the assets can be accessed. So I'll go to pubspec.yaml file, and here I will check this line, and let me just go there. Let me just copy this images folders relative path. I'll paste it here, and now I can use everything from this images folder. Great. And also have to make sure that I can use fonts. So I want to use this font with the weight part. So I will first remove this data, these 3 lines. Okay. Then I will remove this entire family, and I will just uncomment this. I'll name this LATO with a small L, because that's what my font name is. And then from my fonts directory, I will first copy the relative path for my regular font. I'll paste it here, and I'll replace this /s. Okay. Then I will copy the bold fonts relative path. I'll paste it here. I'll again make sure that the /s are perfect. Once you have done this, you can save, and I will change the weight to 800. And now if I save this, I can use both of these assets. So the next part that we have to do is to build our auth page, our login.dart page, which should be obviously as simple as it could be. So first I will close this application. Okay, then let's go to login.dart, and this is my login page, which has a simple scaffold. So I don't have anything much here actually. In my body, I have a center. And in my center, I have a child, which is a simple column. And in my column, I just have 2 things. Okay, first of all, I have an expanded widget of my image. So I will say expanded. So I have an expanded widget that contains my image. So oh, come on, sorry. First, I have to make sure that we have a children. Then I have an expanded widget. The expanded widget has a child, and that child is my that child is my container. Yeah, I should say container. Container, and I actually want to make sure that this entire screen is filled with an image, and then we have a single button. Okay, let's just put a container right now, and then in my container I have a child. Okay, in my container there is a decoration, which is a box decoration. Basically, I'm giving my container this image as a decoration image. So box decoration, and in my box decoration I have image, which will be asset image, as this is going to come from assets. And okay, this would be a decoration image first. I'm sorry, decoration image, and then in my decoration image I have an image which should be an image provider, which is an asset image in this case. And here I have to give my asset, so it will come from ESSETS assets slash images slash cover.png. This is the file that I'm using. If I save this now, this should now be my file. After the expanded widget, I now have a simple button, which is my okay. Now I first need some text. Okay, great. So yeah, after this I have simple text to show something. I will simply say create and manage your notes. Okay, great. Now this is my text widget, and after the text widget, I don't want this exclamation mark. Doesn't look good. Out of the text widget, I need a button, which will be elevated button. All thanks to the Flutter's new upgrade. Now we don't have a raised button now, and that has been replaced by an elevated button. And the child is a row because I need two things here. I need a text and also have to show my Google's icon. So yep, let me just put it here. Right now I'll simply put the text. Okay, I have a text, and the text says continue with Google. Let's save this. We are not going to obviously focus much on the UI part, but still let's run the application and let's see what do we have as of now. Alright, so once our app is built, as you can see, this is what we have as of now. Okay, a simple button, the simple text, and this image that we needed, obviously. So first let's style this text that we have here as a header. I will say that not as a header, you can say as I don't know, just a simple text. Okay, so the font size that I want should be something like 36.0. I want this to be bold. And the font family that I want is obviously Leto, something that we're using. And the font weight that I want is font weight dot bold. Now if you save this, this is how this looks. Okay, looks pretty good to me, right? What do you say? I will give this padding, and this is going to come from only because I want to give different padding for different directions. So in the only part, from top, I want to give a padding of, let's say, okay, I don't have any suggestion. Let's remove this 8.02. Great. So from top, I want to give it a padding of 12.0, and the same from bottom, a padding of 12.0. And from both sides, let's do that later. If I save this, as you can see, now we have a little bit of spacing in this text and within this button. So after this elevated button, I want to give some spacing. So I'll simply place a sized box with a height of, let's say, some 15.0. And now this sized box will make sure that there is a little spacing in the bottom. Now, as you can see, this is what we have. 15 is too much, right? Let's just put it 10. And that's completely fine. Also, I want this button to be in the center. I don't want this button to have complete width. So I'll simply place a padding. And now I'm saying here only. And the only will make sure that I give only some padding from the right and left direction. I should use symmetric, right? Yes, symmetric. Dot symmetric, and here my padding will be horizontally. I just want to give it a padding of let's say some 10.0. Let's save this, and okay, now we have a little bit spacing from both the sides. Now since I'm giving a horizontal padding of 10, I should even change this to symmetric, and now the vertical padding will be 12 and the horizontal padding will be 10. So horizontal 10.0 and vertical some 12.0. Okay, let's save this. If 12 is too less, I can even change that. We can even make that more. That looks pretty good to me as of now. So this is my simple elevated button that we have. Now obviously I need to give it a couple of styling, and also have to make sure that we have a Google button available here. First of all, I will simply copy this style. Okay, and for my text that you have here, well, paste this. The only difference is that now this is simply going to be 18 and this is not going to be bold. So let's save this. After the text, the next thing that I want is an image. So I'm saying image dot asset, and the asset path is assets slash images slash google dot png. And now I will have my Google icon, which I think, yeah, that's too huge. So yep, the height of this icon should be, let's say, some 26.0, right? I think that will be too small. Okay, 32. 32.0. This is the this is my Google's Google's icon. Sorry, icon. Okay, let's make it even a little bit huge. And now I have to give my elevated button some styling. So once I have this child row, I will fix this. Don't worry, soon once I give this little bit of styling. So first of all, let's talk about styling. Now, if you go back to my, if I should actually go back to a main.dart, I have to make sure that I add a couple of things here. I can't add accent. Okay, I can accent color. So that will be colors dot purple. And this shouldn't be white. This should actually be purple. Okay, let's save this. And now this should give me purple color. Nope. Oh yeah, there's still some issue. Now, if I save this, this should give me purple color. Nope. That's okay. Okay, I have to call style, and this will be a button style. And in my button style, I want to change a couple of properties. First thing that I want to change is the background color, obviously. And now earlier we could have simply put a colors.purple and our task will be done completely, but right now we have a little change here. So the first change is that now everything related to buttons style is available in button style, and to give a property you have to actually use material state property. And what this material state property does is that it takes a couple of options like all and resolve as and resolve it. And something that I have understood, like I haven't actually spent too much time looking at this, but what this basically means is that this creates a value for all the states. So either you can use all, resolve as and resolve it. So this is a property that you give to a particular state. So what I'm simply saying is that for all the states I am giving this particular value. So I'm saying colors dot purple. This could be wrong. Once I research more on this, I will let you know about this. So okay, as you can see, once I've done this, this is what I get out of it, right? I should even change this to, let's say, 20. This will look a little better. And after the background color, next thing that I need is padding, and it is still the same. All that I have to put my property just the way I do. I just have to wrap this with this material state property dot all. So I can say material state property dot all, and now this will be edge insects dot zero, not edge insects dot zero. Let's say symmetric, right? So it actually doesn't make much sense. Even if I give this, I should just give this vertical padding of some 12.0 and it will be good to go, right? If I save this now, it looks pretty, it looks good. I have to go back to my row and I have to say for my row that the main axis alignment is main axis alignment dot center. Now if I save this, and this is what I get. Continue with Google, and here I have to give little spacing, so a sized box with a width of some 10.0. I don't think it should look too far. That looks okay. So yes, this is what I have as a simple login screen. Continue with Google. If you click on this, we should obviously log myself in, right? Does this look good, better? I should actually change this to dark. Yes, don't want purple. This should be gray with gray 700. Yeah, this is what I want, right? Completely black and white. Let's go and change this. I'm sorry, I haven't made much idea about the UI, but now that I'm recording the tutorial, I'm thinking of, okay, at least let's make sure that the UI is decent. If not too good, then at least decent. Well, it has been 32 minutes and all that we have as of now, it's a simple login page. So let's move forward with this. You can see if once we tap on this button, we should log in with Google. But we also need a couple more things in my pages. Now I need to add a couple more things. So I will simply add a home page which will be visible once a user has been logged in. So home page dot dart, and then I also have a add note dot dart, and also I have a view note dot dart. So add note and view note dot dart. Great. So add note, view note looks pretty okay. Let's go to home page, and here I have to again import my package colon flutter slash material dot dart. And once you have done this, a stateful visit named as home page, and this returns a scaffold. And here we don't have much as this app bar and all. Okay, we can simply put it like this. We can leave it as it is, right? We'll come back to this later. Let's first implement Google Authentication. So to implement Google Authentication, should I code this in another file? It will be better, right? Yes. In lib, I will create a folder. Let's create a folder. Let's say something like backend, logic, controller. Let's put controller. And in controller, I have Google Auth dot dart. Google underscore auth dot dart. Now in Google Auth dot dart, I need a couple of things. Okay. So first of all, I need Google sign in, the plugin that we have added, if you remember, in my pouchspec.yaml, which was this Google sign in. So let's start grabbing them one by one. So Google sign in, I'll name this as Google sign in, and this is equal to a Google sign in instance. Once we have Google sign in, next thing that I want is Firebase auth. So Firebase auth, I'll name this auth, and this is equal to Firebase auth dot instance. So Firebase auth dot instance, where it is, this is where we have this. Okay, this will be final. Want only one of it. One of this the instance. Then I need a Firebase Firestore collection reference. So Firebase Firestore. Yep. Okay. Let me correctly call the collection reference only. So collection reference. I will name this as users. So this is a reference to our users collection that we have. And then here this is Firebase Firestore dot instance dot collection, and the collection that you are calling is users. So now this is everything that we have for this particular project, and I think I have. Okay, so this is a problem that basically happens every time. Now you have two packages, Firestore and Cloud Firestore. So when you are dealing with Flutter, you have to make sure that you use Cloud Firestore, not the Firestore. So always remove that. If you import both of them by mistake, this will start giving you an error. At that time, you have to make sure that you get rid of the Firestore part. Once you have done this, okay, let's say that we have something that returns a future. Okay, future boolean, a function which returns boolean value in future, and I will name this as sign in with Google. And this takes a build context. Now the reason why I'm asking for build context here is because although I'm not going to use it right now, but if you actually want to show any kind of model for errors, you can use this context to do that. Now here we have to do something, try to log in with the account, and if there is an error, just give me the error. So first we will get a Google sign in account if a user signs in. So I need final, okay, Google sign in account, and I will name this as Google sign in account, and this is equal to await, and I will call Google sign in dot sign in. Yep. Now this will give me a Google sign-in account, but there can be error. The user can cancel the sign-in, or maybe that there could be any kind of error. Okay, so we catch that. So I have a try and catch block. So this is in catch, and I'm saying catch some platform exception. Give me some suggestion. Nope. Okay. We need a capital platform exception. Okay, and here I'm simply printing this platform exception. So print platform exception and print sign in not successful. Great. Okay, I will handle these things later once I put this code to GitHub. Okay, because that will be too much. You can show any model, you can show a simple dialog here that hey, there is a problem with this, I can't show this. Once you have done this part, next thing is that we have to get our credentials. So here I'm saying that if the Google sign-in account is not equal to null, which means we have a sign-in account. Like sometimes there couldn't be an exception, still the Google sign-in account could be none. So if the Google sign-in account is not null, then we have a Google sign-in authentication. So capital GOGLE Google sign-in authentication, and I will name this as Google sign-in authentication, and this will come from now this sign-in account. So I'll say go await Google sign-in account dot authentication. Oh, come on, not authentication. Come on, why are you giving me an error? Yeah, okay, that's completely fine. So now we get the authentication. So basically what this makes sure is that here I'm saying here we are giving them the prompt to sign in. Once they sign in, then we get a Google sign in account, and then we can call the authentication, which will give us some tokens for that. And then we can use that token, that credential, to actually create a Firebase user, and then we can use that particular user. So first we authenticate the Google user, then we authenticate a Firebase user. So after this point, we can finally get some auth credential that we can use for creating a user. So auth credentials, CRUD, auth credential, I will simply name them as credential, and this is equal to, now this will come from some Google Auth provider dot credential. And the way we get credential is first we have to give them an access token, which will come from Google sign in account authentication dot access token, and then we have to give them an ID, and this is the ID token which will come from Google sign in account authentication dot ID token. So once you provide these two tokens, once these both the tokens are provided successfully, now we get a successful auth credential, and then this auth credential can be used. And I'm putting a final because this is all going to come only once. We don't want to change the data. Once you have given this, we are done. So once you have a successfully once you have a successful credential, you can sign in a user. So once you use the auth to sign in a user, now this auth is the Firebase auth. So now we are actually signing a user to Firebase. And the what this actually basically means is that Firebase creates its own user authentication. So we have to create a Firebase user with our Google credential. So auth dot, and here we say sign in with credential, and our credential is coming from credential itself. And what this returns is a user credential. So I'm saying final user credential, and I will name this as, let's say, some auth result is equal to await. Okay, auth dot sign in with credential. So now you will get an auth result. So you can get a user from this auth result. So you can say final user. Okay, and this is my user user, and this is coming from auth result dot user. Now this is the user that we have. You can get user info too from auth result, like additional user info. So once we have this user, now remember, this will only give me a user. This will create a user in the authentication panel, but we also want to save this user's data in our database. So for that, what we do is that we first grab the user's data. I'm saying some variable user data, and this will come from different places. Okay, so every data that I want to store for this, you get a lot of data that you want to store. I just want to store the name of the user, which will come from Google sign in account dot and display name. This is the name that is displayed. Then you can get a provider. So I'm putting the provider as Google. Now when you authenticate a user, even they give you the provider part, but the problem there is that they give you a list of provider. So basically what they're telling you is that all the providers that this user has connected the account with. But here what I want is here what I want, I can use this to actually sign out a user successful even from their account provider. The next thing that I want is photo URL. I don't even need this, but I just want to show you that we can get all this data. So use Google sign in account. If you put a dot here, you can see all the data that you get: display name, email, ID, photo URL, and a lot more. So okay, photo URL, and maybe I should also put the email. It will be better. So Google sign in account dot email. This is the data that I want from the user, but there is a possibility. Now since we have a single function, it's possible that you might be accessing this app for the first time, or you might be accessing this app for the second time. So for that, what we are going to do is that here, when you create a user, every user gets a user ID, and that UID is unique. So no matter how many times you sign into the application, if you are an existing user, you will have a UID. So what I want to say is that check in this collection, check in this users collection if a user exists with this UID or not. If a user exists, just update this data. If a user doesn't exist, add this data. So I'm saying users dot doc, not users dot doc, and I want a document which and that my documents ID is user dot uid. Then I'm saying dot update, and then I want to update some. Actually I want to first get the data. Okay, so get, and once you call this get, then you will have a, then once this is resolved, you can have some values. So then you will get a doc. I am saying get a doc, and here I have to check for a couple of things. So if doc dot exists, so if the document exists, that means you can say an old user has logged in, else you can say a new user. So if this is an old user, I have to say users dot doc, and the document is going to, actually I can even use this doc reference. Okay, let me see, doc dot reference dot update, and update this user data. Okay, if you don't have a document, then I have to say users dot doc. Okay, and I want to give a document which will come from this user dot uid, and then I'm saying dot set this user data. So when we will be talking about actually adding the data, then I will show you something where okay, why do you have an error with this part? Shouldn't I can't use this or what? If exists, what this says is that I expected to find. Oh yeah, well I have given data. Okay, I shouldn't use this. Okay, this is not an arrow function. Now I can add this. Great. Okay, so here we have an old user and we have a new user. So basically there are two methods of adding data in a document. We haven't actually talked about Cloud Firestore yet, but this tutorial is being filmed assuming that you already have idea of Google Authentication and Firebase Authentication, Firebase Cloud Firestore, but you just want to see how things have changed in the new update. So you have to know that if you create a user like this, what you want to say is that we have fixed the user's document ID and we are setting some data. If you use an add, then Firebase itself assigns a new ID. Okay, so once you have done this will, I have to actually move to some another page, right? So I just want to move to home page once I've done this. So I will simply paste this same line twice for moving to home page. So I have actually added everything, but we don't have an home page. Okay, we have a home page, so I have to first import the home page too. So I will just import the home page and now we are good to go. So now if you sign in and if the sign in is successful, you can move to this particular home page, which will have any scaffold. And in the scaffold, I just want a body which should say in the center a child, which is a text, and I want this text to be notes. Okay, let's save this. Once we are done, assuming that we have made everything correct, I will go to login.dart and here in my elevated button, I will call sign in with Google. So Google sign in and okay, yeah, I can't call it like this, right? Dot nope. So I have to say on pressed. This is a function which calls Google sign in. And then I have to pass the context too, right? Okay, we still have an issue, right? What is the issue? Let's see. Google sign in, not Google sign in. Let's see what the name was. The name is sign in with Google, not Google sign in. My bad, obviously. Sign in with Google and pass this a context. Now if I click on this, this would give me a prompt to choose my account, and then if I click on this will sign me up, and my data should be added to the Firestore. So let's click on continue with Google. If it doesn't work, you may want to restart your application. Okay, so yep, looks like this works. Okay, great. So once I click on this will just log me in, and as you can see, I am here in my notes. So basically what happens is that if you have just a single account in your ID, it can just select that sometime if you are not asking for any such permission which actually needs to show a consent screen. So since I'm not asking for any extra permission, as you can see here, they did not show me a consent screen, and since I've already used something from this project to sign in, basically they just signed me in. This is a lot of thing that's happening with Firebase. So if you are using, if you have used a lot of project, you will know that there are some at some places you don't even wait for OTPs and all in phone authentication or in Google authentication. They don't show consent screen, they will just log you in because they become a trusted provider, which is why it is so, for user benefits and all. That makes sense. If I go back to my browser, now if I refresh here, I should have a new collection named users, and then there should be a document there with my email ID, which is Desi Programmer English. And as you can see, I have a users collection. There I have a document with my email name for the URL and provider. If you go to authentication, you can check that a new account has been created and the provider will be Google and the email should be there. If you can check that, you are good to go. So now this is a user. Now we have to talk about notes, and before I move forward, I want to tell you a couple of things. Obviously, we are not going to talk about a lot of data model here, but simply if we just think about it just for a couple of seconds, you can see that if I create a model here, let's say if I create a new collection named notes, then every time I add a note, I have to make sure that I add an owner's email ID too, so that I can make sure that only that person who has created this note can access it. But that will be fruitful in such a situation where I have to show the notes even to others people. But as I have to show the note only to that user who have created it, I can simply add a sub collection in this document and that should do the job, right? And that's what we're actually going to do. We are going to add a collection for each user, which will be a notes collection, and their user can put their data. So well, let's go back here to my editor, and as you can see, now we have to go to home page, and in home page we have something that says notes, right? So in home page, let's just put a button here, just a floating action button where you can actually add a note. And before that, I want to go to main.dart, and here I want to say that for my scaffold, the background color will be color ox ff 070706. This is the color code that I've chosen. Let's save and see what it is. Yep, this is the color code that I've chosen. So this is my scaffold's background color. In my home page, I have a scaffold. I want to add a floating action button, which will be a floating action button. And in this floating action button, okay, I have a child, which is an icon, and this is icons dot add. Yep. And the colors will be color. Actually, the background color will be dark. So colors dot, not dark, it will be gray 700. And the icon color will be actually white. So the icon color will be colors dot white with an white 70. Yep, looks good. Also in my floating action button, I have to give an on pressed property. We will add that later, but simply just let's put an on pressed, and that's what we have. So now we have a simple button here, and you can click on this button, and now we will go to a new page, and in that page you can actually add a note. So let's as you can see, we have an add note page, right? So I will simply say import package colon, let's simply create a stateful app. Is it? Yeah, this doesn't import. That's okay. Package colon flutter slash material dot and name. Yeah, I have to give a name too. Sorry, stateful visit. The name will be add note, and here I have a safe area. And in my safe area, you need a child, right? So in my safe area, I have a single child scroll view as I have to work with keyboard. So let's remove this. In my child, I have a single child scroll view. In my single child scroll view, I have a child, and this child is a column. And in the column, I have to add a couple of things, right? So obviously I need a children. That is true. Now I have this simple add note page, right? I'll simply copy this. Let's go to home page, and in my home page, I'm saying when somebody clicks on this button called navigator, okay, and navigator dot of context dot push, and I'm saying material page route, and we have a builder which will be context, and we will return an add note here. So this is what we have, and yep, that's looks pretty good to me. Now if I can click on this button, and I will go to this new screen where I can add a note, which obviously has nothing. That's why we can't see anything. Now here in this new screen, I have a row with two buttons, one to go back and one to save, and then I have a form to actually add stuff. So in my container, so let's just start doing something. First I need a form, okay, and the child will be a column. Great. And here in my column, I have children. My first children will be a text form field. Come on. Text form field. Yep, great. In my text form field, I have an input decoration and decoration. And this will be input decoration dot collapse, because I don't want to give it any kind of decoration. And here I will set the hint text to title. Okay, now I will save this, and now I will have a simple input field here, which, okay, no material widget found, right? I will wrap this single child scroll view with a widget which will be scaffold, 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 and now this will be a body. This will solve the issue. Let's save this. Now as you can see, we have a very simple text here which says title. I'm obviously going to give this a lot of styling which will fix it. So this is my text field. I need two field here, so I will need two variables, a string of title and another string of description, simply des. Now I have a styling here, so not hint style. Here I have a style which will be my text style. Basically that will be applied to the hint style too. So text style, Nothing much, just as simple as it sounds. I will have a font size of 32.0. I want the title to be huge. Then I have a font family of Plato, obviously. Then I will have a font weight of font weight dot bold. Now if I save this, now this is how this looks. Come on, this is how this looks. Okay, looks pretty good to me, obviously. Also want to change the color to colors dot gray. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, looks good to me. So this is the color that we have, right? And on change, when somebody changes a value underscore val, and I'm saying set the value of text, sorry, not text, title, to this value. Great. Once I have done this, I need to actually add another container above my form, and that container will have two widgets. So I have a container. Okay, I'm putting a container so that if I can give it any kind of styling that I want. Then my container in my child, I have a row because I need two widgets, and in my row I have a children. I need two buttons. So I will say elevated button. On press property, nothing. Child will be an icon in first case. So it's going to come from icons dot back, and let's see how many back icons we have. Back, back, back. Let's see which looks good. Yeah, this. Okay, not this. Sorry, let me choose this quickly. Yes, this one. Okay, let's save this, and once you have saved this, this will give us a simple back button right on this top. So this is the button that we have, and obviously I need a little bit of spacing, so I will give a padding, and this will come from edge insects dot all, and the value is 12.0. Let's see how this looks. Yep, it looks okay. The next thing that I want to do is that I want to give this form to the same padding so that these both of them should look aligned. Or I can just wrap this column itself with a container, right? That will be far better. Let me simply just remove this widget, and then this column I'm saying wrap it with a widget with a container, and give that container a padding which will be edge insects dot all 12.0. And now if I save this, right, the problem is that both of them will become too sticked. We can solve this. Sized box of height 12.0. Yep. Now this is okay. So this is a simple button that I have, elevated button, and I guess you guys still remember all the things that we talked about, giving styling them. So style, which will be a button style, and in my button style I have to change a couple of things like not class, background color. So background color will come from colors dot, not colors dot, I almost forget this, material state property dot all, and this will come from colors dot gray 700. So this is the background color that I want for this button. So okay, looks good to me. Great. I'll simply copy the same elevated button once again, and I'll put it here. Now I want to tell my row to align both the elements at the end. So I'm saying main axis alignment, which will come from main axis alignment dot space between. So now both of them will be both the ends. Now the first button is to go back the screen, where the second button, it shouldn't be an icon. So here we don't need an icon. I need a text, and the text will be save. So this button is for saving, and this will obviously demand some kind of styling. So I'm just going to copy this style from here. Okay, and in my save I'm going to paste it. Don't want bold, don't want the font size to be 32, and that's it. If I save, this should be white, not gray. Okay, so white. Save this, and now this is the button that I have. I think 16 looks too small. Let's make it 18. Yeah, both of them look okayish, right? I know it's not very fancy, but it looks okayish. I can add some padding to both of them. Maybe that will make them look better. So padding will be material state property dot all edge insects or dot 0 dot symmetric, and then I want to give them a horizontal padding of some 15.0 and vertical padding of at least 8.0. Come on, 8.0. Let's see how this make them look. It looks good. Looks good. I will change this to 25 in this case. I'll copy this same padding and I'll put this padding there in my icon button. So this is my icon button. This is my button's style. I'll put it here and I can just change this from 25 to, let's say, yeah, 25 looks okay. Yeah, I shouldn't change it. Maybe I should just change the icon size a bit. So now the size can be, let's say, 24.0. Yep, okay. Okay, let's just leave it as it is. Now this is my title, which obviously changes the text, right? So next thing that I need here is another text form field, and that should be for description. So I'll paste it here, and now this says note. I really hope the spelling is correct. And right here the font size should be 18. I don't want this to be bold, and yep, now I'm completely okay with this. But I also want this to have a small sizing. Okay, let's put it 20. Let's wrap it with a padding visit. Let's give this a padding of only, and from top a padding of 12. Looks good to me. Let's refresh. Yeah, this is okay. Now once we have both of them here, I have to change the value from title to des, and this is what we have. Now once people make changes to this, I want to save this to my database. Obviously that's the main and that's the end game here, right? So I have a function, a void function. The function is add, and this will basically save to database. And here I have a collection reference. I really hope this comes from Cloud Firestore. Nope. Cloud Firestore, that's Cloud Firestore. Great. So I need a collection reference, which will be ref. Okay, let's say ref, and it will come from Firebase, Firestore dot instance dot collection, and that collection that we're talking about is actually users. And then in this collection, I have a document, and that document is going to come from Firebase auth dot instance dot current user dot uid, and then I am saying dot reference another collection which is inside this document, and that collection is notes. So this is the collection that we want to reference. Okay, and then I'm simply saying I have some data set, so var data, and that data is, so first we have a title which is obviously going to come from title, then we have some description which is going to come from descriptio. Come on. Oh, okay, it's just going to come from description des. Then we have a created, and this will be date time dot now dot n dot now. Okay, this will be added as a timestamp, so that's okay. Title, description, created. Okay, and now I'm saying use this reference to add a document, and that data is this particular data. And once this is done, to make sure that this is done, I'm saying putting an async. And also, as you can see, I'm not doing any kind of cross checks here whether the data is actually updated or not. I'm simply saying once this is done, use navigator dot pop, and then this will go back one screen. So this is what I have. Just add this to data, title, description, created, and then go back one screen, which I'm going through navigator dot pop. So let's go back to my back here. Also, I can change this icon. I can put a code for this icon button. So this is my icon button, and the code is as simple as it sounds. Navigator of context dot pop. Okay, I'll simply save this. Now, once I have saved this, I'll simply click on back button. This simply shows me notes. I'll click on this. I'm adding the title. So record a video on Firebase Flutter new update. And in description, I'm saying, in the notes description, I'm saying this should contain data about Google Auth database and all. Okay, this should be multi-line here, only then it will look better. So let's add that. Okay, so here I'm saying in this second form field, which is inside this padding, I'm going to replace this padding with a container. Okay, and I'm telling this container to have a height, which is going to come from media query dot of context. And I'm saying what are the screen sizes, grab 80% of its height, or maybe 75%, because I'm pretty sure that these two buttons won't take more than 75% in any screen. Okay, so for new update, and now if I add something, okay, here also I need a new property to add, which will be max lines. So max lines, I can say, let's say some 20. Save this. So yep, this is what I have on new update. Okay, and this is a large, so I'll just simply add some data to just um, okay, once we have this, I'll simply click on this save button, and for that I also have to make sure that I actually call the save function from here. Come on, call that function. Okay, save this. Let's click on save function again, and now this should have saved this to database. I don't think this could have worked this time because I added something at the end, but let's see if this worked or not. Let's just see. Okay, this works. So for my user, for this particular user, we have another collection named as notes. And in this collection, as you can see, we have a random document ID. This is the date created. This is the description that I added. This is the title. Okay, yep, this works. Well, let's go back to my code editor. Okay, let's open this, my editor here, right? Not editor, I just forgot what do we call this. Yeah, emulator. In the home page, again, now here in my body, as you can see, we simply have this center. Now what I need is a future builder. And this future builder, obviously, just as any other future builder, will have a builder which will take a context and snapshot. Okay, right. And we also need a future here. That makes more sense. So we need a future, and the future is going to come, is going to have a is going to be a collection reference. Okay, I'll simply save this. I'll go back to add note, and I will just grab this code entire. Okay, this is the collection reference for every user. So now if I go back to home page, I will simply paste this here, okay, as a ref, and I will import this. Okay, everything will be good. I also import Firebase auth, and now I can say ref dot get. Okay, now this will get all the documents for this from this particular reference. Okay, and then I'm saying, then in this builder I'm saying that if snapshot dot has data and else. So if snapshot doesn't have any data, I'm also not checking for any errors. So if it doesn't have any data, simply return a center visit with a child that will be a text that says loading. So ding ding ding, and yeah. And then if it has data, then I'm saying return a list view dot builder. Okay, in the item builder we again need context and we need index, and we will return something here. Okay, and also in that we need an item count. So I want to say item count, which will come from snapshot dot data dot docs dot length, right, snapshot dot. Okay, I have to make sure that this is of correct type. I have to make sure that typecasting is available, only then we will get these options. So this is actually going to be a query snapshot. Okay, so now I can say snapshot dot data dot docs dot length, and then here we have to return something. Okay, so yeah, okay, let me simply return everything from here. So here I want to return an inkwell. Yep, so return a card. We'll do inkwell later. This card has a child, and the child is a container. Okay, I don't want a card, basically I just want a container, because to give options like padding and all, I will have to again wrap it with a container, so it won't make much sense. But yeah, card can have an elevation, right? Yeah, card sorry, card which has a child of column, and in the column we can have children. Let's save this. Let's see what do we see. We won't see anything much here. Okay, we are not putting any kind of data. So for every data that we get, we first need to show a couple of things here. So for every data that we get, what I want is that I first have this random list of colors. So I want to choose one from this list of colors that I have here. I'll simply paste it here. Okay. So for every card, I first want to grab a random list of the color. And that particular list is going to come from, so I have to say random, which is random, and this is a random, sorry, new random. I'm using the random to generate a random number. So I'm saying the color, which will be my background color, it is going to come from my colors. And then here I'm saying random dot next integer, and the maximum value is 4. So this will give me an integer from 0 to 3. And my colors is giving me an issue. I don't know why. This is my colors. This is a list of my colors. Let's see. Okay, sorry, this is not color, this is color. So now this is a color that we get for my background. So I'm saying cards, the background color of my card will be color of my card, which will be the background color, which will be this BZ. And then here in my children, I can also have a map of data, right? Yep. So in map data, this is going to come from snapshot dot data of this particular index dot not data dot docs. So from the list of document, get the document of this particular index and then call the data. Okay. And then from this data here, I will have a text visit, and this text visit will first show this data. So dollar, because this could be empty, right? So data, and the first thing that I want to show here is title. Okay, let's save this. We'll give this a styling later. Let's right now just save this and let's see if anything is at least visible on the screen or not. Yeah, looks like something is visible. Okay, not very clearly, but something is visible. So let's go back to our add note, and here, as you can see, we have this title. So I'll copy this style for my title, okay, in my home page, and this is the style that I want to give. Let's post it here, and look, okay, now this looks bit okayish. I just don't want this to be gray, I want this to be black 87. So this is the title that we have. And I also want to give this little padding because this looks too okay, this is very looks at the corner, so I'll wrap this with a padding. I'll give them an edge padding of some 15. Now this looks a bit better. Okay, as you can see, we're getting a random card every time we update this value. Okay, I will show the title and I will show the I will show the title and I will show the time. Okay, so also I think 32 is a bit more here. Let's put it 24 only, then it looks a bit okay, so right. And then to show the time after this text visit, I want a text visit which is aligned to the end. So I have to actually wrap it with a container so that I can give it such values. And then in my container, I have a child. The child is a text visit. And this text visit will have some data only. But let me first align this at the end and then I will show you what kind of data that we have. If we save this, if I simply copy this style, if I paste it here, I don't want this to be bold. I don't want this to be 24. Just 20 is enough for me. If I save this, now this is how it looks. I want this to be at this end. So I have to say in my container alignment will be alignment dot end. Sorry, center, not center. Yep, center right, I think. Let's save this. These are two things that I'm always confused in. I'm always confused in left and right, and I'm always confused in horizontal and vertical. So sometimes you might see me explaining as top to bottom and right to left. And I may also say this is right while this is right. Well, so this is why here, this is where I have my data. Now I have to show this data correctly. So for that, I need to first grab this as a date time and then I have to format it. So to grab that as a date time, I have to say, okay, yep, okay, let me just grab that as a date time first. So date time, my date time, let's say my date time, this is going to come from data and then created dot to date. Okay, will this format itself? Okay, no. Okay, this is not formatting. So let me just wrap this. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is formatted. Data dot to date. Sorry. Let me just put this my date time here. I know it won't look very good. And here I'm putting my date time directly, because since I am putting that value by default every time, I'm pretty sure that this will be there, and I can't put my date time. I have to set to string maybe. Let's save this now and let's see what do we get. So okay, we get a date time in this format. I want to format it nicely. So for that, I am going to use the intl plugin, which I already asked you to install earlier. So if you have that, you can do something like date format dot y, which stands for year, and month and date, YMMT. And then I have to say dot add, and here I want to add some data, some date. So add underscore GM. It's a date format, and here I have to format a date. So dot format a date, and this date will be my date time. Now if I save this, this looks a lot better. Come on. Right, so now this is the time. This is today's time. This is the time when I'm recording the tutorial. It's almost 5:30 a.m., but I created this as 5:15. So right now this is how I have this. Now I also want here and I also want a simple app bar here to show that this is my notes page. Okay, so let's say an app bar, which will be an app bar, and this app bar will have a title, which will be a text. The text will be notes, and in I will give the notes some styling, which will come from this text style, obviously. So let's copy this, let's paste it, let's save it. Okay, in app bar I want to give it a couple of things, like the elevation will be 0.0, and the background color will be color ox ff, and then 070706. This is the color that we used there for my scaffold. So now if I save this, this is how it looks. Okay, and this should now be white actually. So white 70, white 60 works, anything will work. Okay, and I will just make this a little huge. So now this is notes. Okay, let's just put it white 70. This is my notes app, and this is here we will have a list of all the cards that we have as a notes. Okay, so I can click on this button now. Okay, I can add any of them. Let's say this is a new, come on, sorry, this is a new note. Okay, and this is some random description. Let's click on save, and if you go back, nothing is changed. So basically when you go back, and if you don't, since we're not refreshing, we can't see any change. If I save this, now it refreshes. Now you can see that we have a new note. And why is it at the center? Okay, we have to give my column some properties. So cross axis alignment will be at the start. Save this. Okay, better. All right, so what I want to do is that when somebody goes to any screen, okay, like when you go to this screen, when you come back, I want to update the screen. I want to call set state, and we can do that here. I'm saying after the navigator is completed dot, then once this is completed, I want to do couple of things. So here I'm saying print. Okay, let me just call set stat, and I also print calling set stat, set state, not stat, sorry, print calling set state. Now what I want to show you is that pay nice attention to the debug console. Okay, once I click on this button, navigator will be called, right? But you see navigator dot then is not called, which is why we can't see any this age set state, sorry, calling set state and all. Once I add some data, like this is a new title and some random notes description. Okay, and when I click on save, once we go back to the screen, then it calls set state. So then we see our new card. So this is the entire stuff, like this is the thing about it, right? Now the next part that I want is that obviously we have description, and you want to see the description too. So when somebody clicks on this note, they can go to a new page, which will be a view note, and there they can either take a look at this and they can delete it. I'm not adding the update part because it's already 5:30 a.m. I have to travel today, so I have to take some nice sleep too, and I have already recorded a tutorial of 1 hour and 21 minutes. So yeah, only delete part, and I will talk about the update part later. We will do that later, maybe in a live stream. That will be better. All right, so in view note, okay, I will simply first import our package. So material dot dart, okay, and then we have a stateful visit which is view note, and then here we have a scaffold. Okay, yeah, actually let me just grab the add node because the format is going to be almost same as add node. Just don't need this add function. Okay, we will remove it later. We'll remove it later. I'm just changing everywhere this add node to view node. Okay, now we have two ways of doing whatever we want to do, right? We can either send the document reference or the ID, and then we can grab all the data in the next page and then do stuff, or we can send the static data, right? What I'm going to do, is that I'm actually going to send the static data. And here, as you can see, we have to send a couple of data. If I go to home page, okay, and if you take a look at it, this is our list view window. This is our card. I will wrap it with a visit. That visit will be inkwell, and in inkwell I have this on tap property. So when somebody taps on this, we want to send it to navigator dot off context dot push, and here I'm saying push to view note. Okay, sorry, not come on, sorry, material page route. And here in builder we have this context, and I'm saying call view note. Okay, so comma this, great. So now if you actually click any of this card, we go to this new page, okay, which will be view note here. Now let me just edit this view note. Okay, so this back button is okay, we don't have any problem with that. Okay, I just want to copy this child, which is our icon. Then in the next elevated button, I want to remove this text with this child, and instead of having a back, I want to have a delete. Okay, let's just delete forever. And if I save this, now this is a delete forever button. And since this is a delete forever button, I want to just change the color to red. So now this will be red accent with okay, it should be only red with some red 300. I don't want very saturated color. Yeah, okay, let's saturated color. Okay, for our task. Now here we have to send a couple of things. We have to send the string, the date that we have formatted. I don't want to format it again, so we'll simply send this string. We will send data of this document, and we will also send the reference which we can use to modify this document later on, right? So that is the best part to modify document. So here, as you can see in my view note, I have to accept a couple of things. First, I don't need both of them. Okay, I will do this later. Again, always it will, otherwise it will start giving me errors. So final map data, then final string time, which we have already formatted. I will simply just show this here, and then final document reference, and I really hope this comes from Cloud Firestore. Yep, great. And which will be ref, and all this is going to be accepted in my view note. So this dot data, this dot time, and this dot reference, this dot ref. Come on, great. So now when you go back to home page, it will say, hey, come on, I need some data, right? So let's give this data, all the data that you need. So our data is the data that we just have as is here. Our time is this value. Okay, this is the string that we want to send. So I'll put it here. Or maybe I can also say something like a string formatted time is equal to this value. And then I'm saying copy this formatted time, send this here, and also display the same formatted time here too. Great. Next thing that I want to pass is the document reference. The document reference is going to come from snapshot dot data dot docs, and get the document of this index dot reference, and this is the data that we have to pass. Now if I save this, we are good to go. So now, okay, if I click on this, let's say this is new title, okay, then here we have to actually populate the data. So let's go to view note. In the view note, okay, I have to make a couple of changes. So our elevated button and all, that's completely fine. We don't have an issue with that. Here, as you can see, we have a form. So I'm saying remove this widget. I don't need this. In the column, we have a text form field. So remove this on changed property, and from text form field, remove the form field. So now we have a simple text which can't have this decoration, and it needs some data. So the data is going to come from, we need to provide some data. It's going to come from widget dot data, and in that data we have the title. So this is how we can show the title data, okay, and just a comma here, and now the title, whatever the title we have sent, is available here. Okay, I also have to say that the cross axis alignment will be cross axis alignment dot start. Let's save this. So this is our data. The next thing that I want to show here is the time, okay, which we have sent. So I will also copy this, I'll paste it here, and now instead of showing this entire stuff, I just want to put time here, okay, which will obviously come from visit dot time. Okay, now instead of 32, I don't obviously time, I don't want time to be 32. It could be 24. Okay, gray is okay. Everything is okay. Yeah. Okay, looks good to me. I just don't want this to be bold. Don't want this. I just want to be 20. And I want this to be wrapped with a padding so that I can say only. And I want to give you a top padding of 8 and also a bottom padding of 8.0. Okay. ONLY. Save this. This is our, okay, I think top was less or what? 12. Save this. Okay, great. This is the title and this is our time. Let's also change. Okay, this title looks okay. Okay, let's leave it. Here we have a container. So we container has this size and all, and also as you can see, we have given it a padding of all the sides. So I don't need this padding now. Let's remove this. Now this is fine. And also, as we have changed earlier, this doesn't have to be a form field. This is simply text, which means we can't have max lines, we can't have on changed property, we can't have decoration, but here we need to provide it some description. So visit dot data and the key, which was description, and there we have our description. And also I'm wrapping this so that if this value is null, we don't have to face any problem. Okay, so this is now our data. Okay, if this value is null, we don't have any problem. Now this delete button, the way how this delete button works is that it's still the same. All that I have to do is to go to this delete forever. In on press, when you call add, I'm calling delete, and in delete, okay, this will be now delete, and here instead of calling all this thing, all that I have to say ref dot delete. Okay, not ref dot delete, I have to actually remove all these things. Now delete from database, and I have to say ref. This is a document reference which is actually going to come from widget dot ref dot delete. Okay, so wait, and then pop, yani go, sorry, pop means go back to the context. Also, when you go back again, this problem still persists here, because if you delete this, it go back, but until unless you refresh on this page, until unless we go back to home page and refresh, this will still be available. When we refresh, now this will be gone because we have deleted it, obviously. So also here you have to say on view note that after you come back from this page, okay, call set state once. Come on, sir, please call set state. Save this. So now if you open this one, this is a new note. Okay, this is a new note. Why is this showing at the center? I have to say alignment will be alignment dot center left, maybe. Yep, not center left, top left. Top left. Okay, save this. Anyway, so now if I click on delete, if I go back, you can see that this has been deleted. So this is all that we had in this tutorial, right? You can click on this, and now we can add a title and description. Post this edited video on YouTube before I go. Okay, I have to edit this video and post this on YouTube. So let's click on save now, and as you can see, this has been updated, and okay, randomly colors will be chosen here. So I think this looks pretty okayish as of now. There ain't much problem, right? Our data insertion, data retrieval, data deletion is working perfectly. Update is also simple. You can simply pass this reference, and you can simply call ref dot update with the new data set, and this will be done. I may add that part soon. Okay, I will add that part soon in future, not as of now. As of now, this is all that we have from my part in this particular video. So yep, keep coding, keep loving, keep saving, and peace.